What's going on, everybody? Um, First off, I just want to say I know it's been at the timing of this video, if I'm correct. Let me check my YouTube on my phone. It's been 6 days since I've uploaded any video, and I've just been spending time with my family for the holidays. And I am a little sick right now, which has been like the past 2 or 3 days. I've been sick, and it's been not wanting me to upload anything or make any videos. But also, since I uploaded my last video, I've been working on a really amazing video I think is going to do really well. And if it doesn't, it will suck. It will suck really bad because I've put so much effort into it. Today is the end of, I'm not sure you want to call it like a little series, but I've been ranking my top 5, like kind of like my top 5 GOAT list of every UFC division, like who's my top 5 bantamweights, who are the top 5 featherweights of all time in UFC history, stuff like that. And today is going to be the last video for that like series or whatever you call it. Top 5 UFC heavyweights in UFC history. Number 5, Alistair Overeem, or as we like to call him, Ubereem. Alistair Ubereem. He was on the horse meat, he was on the roids, the juice. And I've done a lot of research for this video, and it's one of those lists I didn't want to mess up, but I truly believe he deserves number 5 spot. If you put him above number 5, you want him maybe you think he's the best. Maybe you think he's number 3 or 2. That's fine, very valid. He was never champion in the heavyweight division, but he was a legend. I mean, he beat Sergey Pavlovich, Fabricio Verdum twice, Mark Hunt, Andre Arlovsky, Junior Dos Santos, Roy Nelson, Stefan Struve, Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir, Gary Goodridge, Vitor Belfort, Todd Duffy. I know some of these names weren't. I know some of these fighters he beat weren't in the UFC, like Gary Goodridge. I don't think he ever fought Alistair Overeem in the UFC. I could be wrong. But I know some of these fighters he didn't fight in the UFC. But I mean, in terms of his whole MMA career, in terms of heavyweight legacy, he's definitely top 5 heavyweights in mixed martial arts history. He was a fighter in over 5 or 6 different promotions. There was K1, there was a Dream, Pride, all these other places he's been. But we're talking like strictly UFC. And I know a few of these names he never fought in the UFC strictly, but I put them on here because he's such a legend in the UFC for what he's done in his past, and he's such a legend for what he's accomplished in the UFC. Even if he never was heavyweight champion, I do 100% believe he has to be on this spot. He's no higher than 4 because he's never had a title defense in UFC, and he was never champ. And if he was UFC champ, correct me, I might change this list considering if he was champ, because I've done so much research. And I know he was in title fights, but I don't think he's ever been champ. Moving on to number 4, Junior Dos Santos, 1 title defense. He beat Derek Lewis, Taito Ivasa, Ben Rothwell. Was that twice? I put his name twice. I should have just put 2 times. Mark Hunt, Frank Mir, Stipe Miocic, Fabricio Verdum, Stefan Struve. I botched that name. I spelled it correctly. I spelled it so wrong. Forgive me. Roy Nelson and Cain Velasquez. He beat. Forgive me. I just dropped my phone on the desk. Sorry for earphone users. But Junior Dos Santos is another legend in the UFC heavyweight division. I mean, look at these wins. Derek Lewis, Frank Mir, Cain Velasquez, Stipe Miocic. I mean, we're talking legends in the UFC. And I put him above Alistair Overeem. I think Alistair fought harder competition and he fought better fighters. But Alistair was never champion, and becoming champion kind of, like the way the champion thing works is you're the best in your division if you are a champion. That's how it should work. Sometimes it's not always like that. Like right now, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but Sean O'Malley is the bantamweight champion. People say, oh, he's not good. Some people say Piotr Jan's better. Some people say Merab or Henry Cejudo is better, or Marlon Vera is better because he beat him. I digress, but I just think Junior Dos Santos should be above Alistair Overeem, and just because he was not only champion, but he had a title defense. Moving on to number 3, Cain Velasquez. He was a two-time heavyweight champion with 2 title defenses. He beat Travis Brown, Junior Dos Santos twice, Antonio Silva twice, Brock Lesnar, and Ben Rothwell. Um, I think him being on this list is a must-have. You cannot tell me your top 5 UFC heavyweight like GOAT list of all time, and it cannot be Cain Velasquez, whether he's number 2 or 3 or number 1. He has to be on that list. I mean, 2-time heavyweight champion. Most heavyweight champions, if you look at the list, to go to Wikipedia and look up all the heavyweight champions in UFC history, I think only 3 of them have ever been heavyweight champion more than once. Stipe Miocic, Cain Velasquez, Randy Couture. Am I forgetting someone else? I think that's it. I could be wrong. But I mean, I definitely believe he deserves number 3, considering he's a 2-time heavyweight champion with 2 title defenses, and he beat Junior Dos Santos twice, so I definitely believe he deserves to be above him. Not only that, he beat Antonio Silva twice. Forgive me for sniffling. I am sick. I got like a cold. He beat Brock Lesnar, Ben Rothwell, Travis Brown. Really good names. Coming in at number 2, Randy Couture. He is the only UFC fighter in UFC heavyweight history to be a 3-time heavyweight champion. And he had 3 title defenses. He beat James Toney. I know James Toney might not be a notable name on his record, but I put it there because James Toney was an amazing boxer before he transitioned to UFC. Granted, James Toney had only 1 UFC fight, and he only had 1 MMA fight. When doing research for this video, I was not surprised at all to come to the conclusion, or I figured out, when I looked on sheerdog.com, the MMA sheerdog.com, James Toney was a former heavyweight boxer. He's either light heavyweight or heavyweight, and he fought Randy Couture in the UFC. Props to him, because these boxers nowadays are not going to do that, let's be honest. Garcia. He beat James Toney, and I mean, I think it's a good name on the list. But moving on, Mark Coleman, Tim Silva, Vitor Belfort, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, and Pedro Rizzo 2 times, who he beat 2 times for the belt. I think one of them was the title defense. But in my opinion, I think the reason I'd put him above, Alistair, Overeem, Junior Dos Santos, and Cain Velasquez, he beat really good legends. Not even on top of that, he 3 title defenses, more than the other guys, and he's a 3-time heavyweight champion in the UFC. That's really difficult to do, considering you just get popped by a jab or a big uppercut and you're flatlined in the heavyweight division. It's such, people say it's low skilled. It is very low skilled, but it's hard to stay champion because they hit hard as hell. They hit hard as hell. And if you're becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion with 3 title defenses, you have to be in GOAT conversation of UFC heavyweight history. I mean, to go over the names again, James Toney, Mark Coleman, Tim Silva, Vitor Belfort, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, Pedro Rizzo twice. I mean, he's up there. Coming in at number 1, it should be obvious, Stipe Miocic. He has a total of 4 title defenses. He beat Roy Nelson, Mark Hunt, Andre Arlovsky, Fabricio Werdum, Alistair Overeem, Daniel Cormier 2 times, Junior Dos Santos, and Francis Ngannou. I want to again apologize for my sniffling. I hate having a cold. But I think honestly, the best UFC heavyweight of all time is Stipe Miocic. I mean, he wasn't a 3-time champion. He was a 2-time champion with 4 title defenses, the most in UFC heavyweight history. I think it's a clear cut. I mean, look who he beat. He beat Daniel Cormier twice, who DC beat him to become double champ. But once you lose to someone as great as DC and then you beat him 2 times back to back, you're like the best heavyweight. I mean, come on. Not only that, he beat Alistair Overeem and he beat Junior Dos Santos. If you do not put him above Alistair Overeem or Junior Dos Santos for those 2 facts alone, I'm going to question your validity or your political viewpoints on UFC. Francis Ngannou, who turned out to be a good champ. I mean, good 1 title defense. Still a good name nonetheless because of what he's done now in combat sports. went toe-to-toe with Tyson Fury. He beat Roy Nelson, Mark Hunt, Andre Arlovsky, Fabricio Verdum, Alistair Overeem, Timo Cormier twice, Junior Dos Santos, Francis Ngannou. I think keeping Stipe Miocic at number 1 is kind of straightforward. Now, we can say, well, it's my opinion, Stipe is the best heavyweight. Opinions are opinions, and facts are facts. My opinion is a fact, and that is my opinion because it's a fact. Thank you everyone for watching. It is currently fight night. It is December 9th, 10:26 p.m. and I'm about to go turn on the Sonya Dog fight and Chris Guaterres, is that his name? But speaking on that fight, I was gonna do predictions, but I've just been real busy with holiday lately. I've been shopping for my family for Christmas. And just been super busy. But that's it for tonight. Everyone, enjoy your video. I mean, not video, sorry. Stumbling. Can't speak or think straight. Enjoy your night. Spread love, peace, and positivity. And I am out. Goodbye.